So, very good morning, students. So, after a very long gap, especially my dear PU second year students, today it's my turn, that you already know. I am Kanchana V. Patil, right? In the second year the first year I taken section 2, 4 and 6, right? Now, because of this COVID-19, there is a long gap of 8 months. Okay, we are meeting today. I am very happy to meet you on this online classes. Okay, right. Now, without wasting the time, students, today I have been given the chapter that is P-block elements. So, this P-block element is a very important chapter of inorganic chemistry in the PUC second year, and as far NEET is concerned, it is very important. About 2 to 3 questions, compulsory 2 to 3 questions will come for NEET examination. Okay. So those who are NEET aspirants, it's a very important chapter, and I will cover it very nicely, right? Okay. But to understand this chapter, you should have the basic knowledge about your chemical bonding, especially Lewis-Dot formulae, right? Formal charge, hybridization, and VS-EPR theory, that is valence cell electron pair repulsion theory, we will apply here. Okay. So, right, students. So this P-block element, some P-block elements, that means in already first year you have studied 50%, not 50%, 25% of this P-block elements, that is 13 and 14 group elements. Okay. So today in this class, once again continuation, some P-block elements. Some P-block elements. Okay. So this chapter, according to your NCERT syllabus, allotted hours is 11 hours, and weightage is 10 marks. 11 hours, 10 marks for theory purpose, right? And for NEET examination, right, we will have 2 to 3 questions. Compulsory 2 to 3 questions. From which part will come, I will tell you in detail in the chapter. Okay, right. So these 10 marks, now they are allotted in your question paper. You already know the model question paper, 1 marks first question, that is 10 questions, no choice, right? 2 marks, you have to answer 5 out of that is 8 questions. The next 19 to 26, that is questions carrying 3 marks. In this inorganic part, it is basically inorganic part. In that inorganic part, this P-block elements questions will be asked. Okay, that is question number 20, question number 21, question number 22. Each carrying 3 marks, 3 marks each. Okay, that is the part C. Then we will have 1 marks question. Question number 7. Okay, question number 7 carrying 1 marks. 1 marks, 3 marks, 3 marks, 3 marks. Total, that is what? 10 marks. Okay, 1 mark from question, that is question number 7. Definitely, question number 7 is asked from this chapter only. And next in the part C, 19th question will be on the extraction of element, that is now deleted in the syllabus. That means now it is cut off syllabus. Out of 100%, 40% syllabus has been deleted. Okay. Out of that, first 19th question is from inorganic chemistry, that is from extraction of elements. Next 20, 21, 22. Okay, each carrying 3 marks, 3 questions, right? Then from P block, next D and F 2 questions, and coordination chemistry 2 questions. Like this you will have. Okay, right. So this is the weightage for theory and for the NEET. Now, not much wasting the time. So students, just I will go on to introduction to this some P block elements. Remember, this is for theory 11 hours, 10 marks weightage. For NEET, definitely will have very important chapter, 2 to 3 questions, compulsory 2 to 3 questions, right? Okay. Now let us move on to introduction. In first year, you already know students. What do you know regarding 13 and 14 group elements? Right. Just I will have a glance and connect to the matter. Right? Okay. See here. So you know that in the periodic table there are about 118 elements are there in the modern periodic table now. Still more elements are discovered. They are going to be included in the near future. Right? These all known elements, they are broadly classified into S block elements, P block elements, D block elements and F block elements. That you already know. In the first year you studied S block elements. S block elements comes under group 1 and group 2. Exactly they are placed where? On the left side of the periodic table. Okay, group 1 and group 2. So group 1, especially there are for alkali metals, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium and francium. That you already know, right? And second group, beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium and radium. That you already know. This comes under what? S block elements. Right? Now, in between, you will have what? That is group 3, group 4, group 5, group 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And especially here, you will have scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc. That is from atomic number 21 to 30. Then afterwards, exactly here you will see. Okay, that is 13 group elements: boron family, boron, aluminium, right, gallium, indium, and this is iron. Next comes that is carbon, okay, silicon, germanium, tin, as well as lead. After 14 group, now we will have the first day already studied this, right? Okay. Now, after carbon, it's a 15 group: nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, okay, antimony, and bismuth. 16 group, that is oxygen family: oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, and boron. After 16 group, it's the turn of 17 group, which are called halogens. Okay, fluorine, bromine, iodine, astatine, that is E. After halogens, it's the turn of neon, okay, argon, krypton, xenon, and helium, that you already know, that comes under helium. Okay, so like this, you know in the first year, all the known elements, right? First and second group, they belongs to S block elements. Okay? And next, separated the bottom of the periodic table, we have what? F block element. This is also you are going to study this year only separately under two tables: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And this comes under F block. Okay, and this 3 to 12, that is D block. That you already know, right? And these separately at the extreme side of the periodic table, what will have? P block elements, and these are S block elements, right? Okay, so this part you already know in the periodicity of elements. Extremely left side of the periodic table you have S block elements, alkali metal family, alkaline earth family, except hydrogen and helium. That's only their position in here. Is not static. Then group 3 to 12, see here, group 3 to 12 in between what we will have? D block elements. These are called transitional elements. Then once again 13 to 18 comes under P block element. Exactly on the right side, extreme right side of the periodic table we have P block element. That's include C, 13 group, 14 group, 15 group, 16 group, 17 group and 18 group elements. Right? Okay, this is a broader classification that you already know in the lectures. Now question arises, what are P block elements? P block elements means they are the elements in which if the last penetrating electron enters into P subcell, they are called P block elements. Okay, and these P block elements I already told you now, they are included in the periodic table where? Exactly at the extreme right side of the periodic table, including from group 13 to group 18. So group 13 you already studied last year. Group 13 and group 14 these are called boron family and carbon family. See last year you studied boron compounds, that is what? Diborane B2H6, then S3PO3 boric acid, right? Okay, and also borax, that is Na2B4O7 10S2O, that you studied. Then carbon, okay, 14 group family, carbon, tetravalency of the carbon, and silicon, germanium, tin, lead, their compounds also studied, especially what? The allotropic forms of the carbon you have studied. What are those? Diamond, graphite and fullerene. Some compounds of the carbon also you studied, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide. Okay, and even silicates and compounds of the silicon, right? So like this you have studied in 13th and 14th group in the first part of your PUC first year syllabus. Now it's a continuation. Exclusively you will study 15 group, 16 group, 17 group and 18 group elements. Okay? Right. Now I will take you to once again only exclusively P block elements. Our aim is to study now this part, especially 15, 16, 17 and 18 group elements. Okay? Right. Now after this particular basic classification, once again in detail I will tell you first general electronic configuration of these P block elements in general, and general configuration of each group, right? And repeat, already I told you 13 group, boron, right? Aluminium, gallium, indium and thallium. 14 group, carbon, silicon, germanium, tin and lead. Okay, this are now it's very important. 15 group. Okay, nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, okay, antimony, bismuth. Okay, bismuth, that is Br. 16 group, oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium and polonium. 17 group, fluorine, okay, and bromine, iodine, tasnatan, right? And 18 group usually neon, argon, okay, krypton, xenon and especially we will have also helium, that is 2. I will tell you why I have not written Now, see, these are the p block elements from 13 to 18. Okay. Now you know first boron family atomic numbers. Please try to remember, students. Very easy to remember. In first year already I told you. Once again I am repeating here. What is that magic number? 2, 8, 8, 18, 18, 13. Right? With that you can easily remember the atomic numbers, which will help you to study the physical properties here. Very important. See here, boron atomic number 5. 5 plus 8, 13. 13 plus 18, 31. 31 plus 18, 49. 49 plus 18, 49 plus 32, 81. Right? Like this, extreme right side of periodic table, just go on adding 1. Carbon, 6. This is silicon, 14. 32, okay, 50 and 80. Very easy. See, 6 plus 8, 14. 14 plus 18, 32. 32 plus 18, 50. 15 plus 32, 18. Like this. 7, okay, 15, 33, 51 and 80. Simple. Like this, oxygen 8, 16, okay, 34, right, 52 and add only 84. Like that, 9, 17, right, 35, 53 and 85. Last time. Like this, neon 10, 18, 36, 54 and 86. And this we already know helium 2. This is duplet. That's why I written it separately. Except helium, all are octet. So like the students, you have to remember atomic number with the help of your first year periodicity numbers. That is called magic number. Okay, first period, very shortest period containing 2 elements, then shorter period 3, second and third, 8 and 8, then 18 and 18, then longest period 32. Okay? That concept only we have used. Very simple. And repeat, students. Boron family comprises what? Boron, aluminium, gallium, indium, thallium. Then carbon family, carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, lead. Then nitrogen family, okay, nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. Then oxygen family, oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, polonium. And halogen family, fluorine, bromine, iodine, astatine. And this is noble gas family, except helium, that means it is duplet. Helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon. Right? Okay. Now, this particularly, see, these 15 group elements are called as what? Nicogens. 15 group elements are called as what? Nicogens, suffocating gases. 16 group elements are called as what? Chalcogens, ore forming elements. 17th group element they are called as what? Halogens, salt producing elements. And 18th group, you know that they are noble gas family. Why? Because they have complete stable octet configuration. Like that, 15, 16, 17, 18 particularly they are called by particular names. Nicogens, 15 group, Chalcogens, 16 group, halogens, 17th group, and noble gas family, that is 18th group. These are also called zero group elements. Why? Because they are having zero valency. Remember. Okay, as far as CVT is concerned, and even for 1 marks, very importantly, I repeat once again, student, 15th group elements. 15 group elements, these are called as what? Nicogens. Okay. Nicogens meaning suffocating gases. Suffocating gases. Then 16 group elements are called chalcogens. Chalcogens. Right? These are ore forming elements. Ore forming elements. Especially oxide ores. Okay? Oxide ores are halide ores. Then 17 group elements. 17 group elements, these are called halogens. Halogens. And these are, you know, salt forming elements, right? Okay. Then 18 group element that we already know very well, these are called noble gas family. Okay. are called because they are having stable octave structure. Stable octave configuration. And they are also called zero group elements and they are having zero valency. Okay? Right. See, this is very important for 1 marks and for CUT purpose also. Remember nitrogens, chalcogens, halogens and noble gas. Right. Now, without wasting the time, our main aim is to go for what? Particularly 15, 16, 17 and 18. So, we will just wind it up 13 and 14 and come back to this generally. Okay, sorry, before that I already told you 13, 14 group, boron, aluminium, gallium, indium, thallium, right? That is 5, 13, 31, 49, 51. Then carbon 6, okay, silicon 14, germanium 32, tin 50, right? And lead that is 82. What is your individual general electronic configuration? Individual general electronic configuration for 13 group element is NH2NP1. For 14 group NH2NP2. Remember. NH2NP1, NH2NP2. 15 group NH2NP3. Over and out. Okay. 16 group NH2NP4. 17 group, that is NH2NP5. Okay. Then lastly, 18 group, you already know, NH2NP6. Like this individual electronic configuration for 13 is NH2NP1. Okay. Then for 14 group NH2NP2, 15 group NH2NP3, 16 group NH2NP3, 17 NH2NP5 and 18 group NH2NP6. That's how the octet configuration, completing 8 electrons in the outermost orbit. Please remember. Okay. That's why what are p block elements? P block elements are the elements in which the last penetrating electron or entering electron, if it enters p sub cell, we are called p block elements, and these p block elements include from 13 to 18 group, which covers there at the extreme side of the periodic table, including from 13 to 18 group, with the general electronic configuration of all these p block elements, general electronic from 13 to 18. What is their general electronic configuration? NS2 NP1 to 6 is the general electronic configuration of all these p block elements from 13 to 18. But individually when they ask you 13 group NH2NP1, 14 group NH2NP2, 15 group NH2NP3, 16 group NH2NP4, 17 group NH2NP5 and 18 group NH2NP6. So like this, you have to remember first regarding the elements and their electronic configuration and what they are called generally. Right? Okay. Then coming to our main first part of our second year syllabus, that is 15, 16, 17 and 18. Now already I told you this 15 group elements are called as what? Nitrogens. Means generally they exist as gases. Their physical state is gases and they are called, if we inhale them, they are highly acidic in the nature, we will suffer from suffocation. Okay, that's why they are called as what? Suffocating gases. Nitrogens means suffocating gases. Okay. Let us see in detail regarding now exclusively 15 group elements. Okay. When 15 group elements, students might remember, as I told you, they are called as what? Nitrogens. Nitrogens comprise what? Nitrogen, right? Phosphorus, arsenic, antimony and bismuth. Okay, now see, atomic number 7, atomic number 15, right? Atomic number 33, 33 plus 18, 51, 51 plus 32, 83. Okay. Right. Before going to the general electronic configuration, universe syllabus, they are given regarding occurrence. What is the source of these neat coagents? That is nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. Nitrogen, you know, it's a non-metal. Phosphorus is also non-metal. Arsenic and antimony both are metalloids, and bismuth is predominantly metal. Okay, right. Now, Sb, antimony, its Latin name is stibine. Okay, that's why Sb, stibine, S-T-I-B-I-N-E, stibine. That's why it is Sb. Okay. See, let us go for sources. First, nitrogen. Nitrogen, where it occurs? First what? Source. Okay, source of nitrogen is. See, in atmosphere, okay, in atmosphere, nitrogen exists as N2. That is, and it is an N2, that is 78%. 78% by volume. 78% by volume in the form of gaseous state. It is present in the atmosphere. See, very predominant gas, nitrogen. Then, secondly, it occurs as minerals and even ores also. For example, this nitrogen exists as first chili saltpeter, okay, and secondly Indian saltpeter. Chili saltpeter and Indian saltpeter. Indian saltpeter is also called Bengal saltpeter. Bengal saltpeter. See, since this first one, chili saltpeter, is available in the foreign city, is a name of a city, Chile. That's why foreign saltpeter is also called chili saltpeter, and its composition is sodium nitrate, NaNO3. Whereas Indian saltpeter, its composition is potassium nitrate, KNO3. Since it is available in India in the Bengal salt, Bay of Bengal, that's why it is called Bengal saltpeter also. Remember, very, very, very important. VVIMP for what? Neat. Okay, and that's for CP. They will ask you composition, even for theory also. What is the composition of Indian saltpeter? Or just if they give saltpeter, then you can write KNO3. All the saltpeter. Chili saltpeter, it is sodium nitrate. Okay? Right. This is another as mineral or sometimes ore also. Right? Ore of, name the ore of nitrogen if they ask you, then you have to write KNO3 or NaNO3 for 1 mark in theory. Right. Okay, then other than this nitrogen, it is also present in compound form. They are present in, okay, proteins, right, amino acids, right, okay, and even nucleic acids, okay, like DNA and RNA, right, purine and pyrimidine bases, it is present as a heterocyclic compound, so it is present in proteins, amino acids, and even nucleic acids like DNA and RNA, that is deoxyribose nucleic acid and ribose nucleic acid. Okay, so this is the existence of water, that is nitrogen, in the form of mainly as diatomic gas, okay, 78% by value, and it occurs in minerals, especially chili saltpeter and Indian saltpeter. Okay, and also present in the proteins, amino acids in our day-to-day life, okay, which are very important, and nucleic acids. Right. Now, apart from this, in the earth crust, remember, it is present in very trace quantity. It is present up to 9 ppm parts per million. That is, it is 33rd most abundant element. Okay, 33rd most abundant element. Place for the 33rd most abundant element in earth crust. Remember, earth crust. Okay, this is the very basic information of the source of nitrogen. Remember, okay? Right. So very important. It is for 1 marks and for CUT purpose and for NEET purpose. Composition you have to remember, please students. In theory, they will ask you to name the ores of nitrogen. Okay, or minerals of nitrogen. Mineral ore definitely different, but for both answer remains same. That is either chili saltpeter or medium saltpeter. Okay. Now coming to next, what is the source of phosphorus? Source of phosphorus is after source of nitrogen, it's a source of phosphorus, that is P. See, phosphorus, it exists as P4 state, okay, that is tetraatomic solid, but it exists in the form of ores. What are the first one? That is called as fluoraptide. Fluoraptide, okay, secondly fluoraptide, okay, and thirdly fluoraptide, hydroxyapatite, okay, then fourth one, phosphorite. What is the composition of fluoraptide? Very important for 1 marks and for CET and NEET purpose. Fluoraptide, it is 3 Ca3 PO4 taken twice, okay, CaF2, okay, this is fluoraptide. Then fluoraptide, same 3 Ca3 PO4 taken twice, right, CaCl2. Only the one this will change. That is fluoride, this is fluoride. Like this is also 3 Ca3 PO4 taken twice, calcium phosphate is, okay, CaOH taken twice, calcium hydroxide. Phosphoride is basically Ca3 PO4 taken twice. That is called calcium phosphate. Okay. Like this, so many times, very importantly, this is called fluoraptide, right? Fluoraptide, very important, and fluoraptide, then usually this one. Calcium phosphate is called phosphorite. Mineral name is phosphorite. Very important for our plants and animals. That means, especially in animals, bones and ticks are strong. That is mainly due to what? This calcium in the form of calcium phosphate. Okay. Not only that, even milk and eggs, they contain phosphoproteins. That means phosphorus in the form of proteins. Right. Not only that, even once again, DNA, RNA, nucleic acids, and adenosine phosphate (ADP) and adenosine triphosphate (ATP), which are the very reservoir material, especially helpful for the muscular activity. Okay, These are very, very important, especially remember these students, composition, fluoraptide and phosphate. Once again forward, main purpose. Remember what? Composition. Very easy to remember, just I will give the trick. Calcium phosphate, you know, Ca3PO4 tetrameters. If you attach calcium chloride, fluoraptide. If you attach calcium chloride, chloraptide. If you attach calcium hydroxide, fluoraptide. This remains the same. Okay? Okay. Then lastly, apart from this as tetraatomic state and ores, this phosphorus in the nature can also exist. What I told you for what there in bone sand teeth of animals. Okay? Bone sand teeth. Maybe what? Ca3PO4 taken twice. That is calcium phosphate. Okay, even in plants also it is important. Then I told you milk and young. Milk and young, they contain what? Phosphoproteins. Phosphoproteins. Right? Apart from this, not only milk and young, I told you DNA, RNA, okay? Nucleic acids, right? Apart from that, ADP, adenosine diphosphate, ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which are an ATP. That means when we sleep in the night, all our energy restored. ADP will convert into ATP, adenosine triphosphate. When we sleep in the night, when we rise in the morning and will do our all muscular activity, that is due to what? This will hydrolyze to get into ADP, phosphate and energy. That liberated energy is for our what? Muscular activity. That you know in the biological part. Okay? Right. Like this, phosphorus mainly exists as what? Tetraatomic solid. Tetraatomic solid. Not all, except nitrogen, all other, they exist as what? Polyatomic, especially tetraatomic. P4, AS4, arsenic, antimony, Sb4, and even lastly bismuth, Di4. Okay, they exist as tetraatomic solids. Only except diatomic, that is nitrogen, N2. Why nitrogen exists only in the diatomic state? Why not in tetraatomic? Very simple. Very, very point to be noted. Point to be noted. Note point. Note. Very important. Okay, that is N2 exists as diatomic molecule. Diatomic molecule due to what? That is multiple bond formation. Okay, multiple bond formation and high bond energy. High bond energy. Remember, high bond energy of what? How much? 946 kilojoules per mole. So this much energy needed to multiple bond formation is in the first element. You know this. It is having triple bond. To break this triple bond, we need how much? 946 kilojoules of energy. Because of the high bond energy and multiple bond formation, nitrogen exists as diatomic, but all other elements, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth, they exist as tetraatomic solids. It is only diatomic. Yes, remember, this is about physical state. Okay? After this, all information in detail regarding source. This point is very important for theory as well as for CET. Okay, in due reason you will ask this. Okay, now without wasting the time, next other research you told regarding nitrogen phosphorus. And what about the arsenic, antimony and bismuth? And remember another point I forgot, this phosphorus is the 11th most abundant element in the periodic table. As nitrogen is the 33rd most abundant in the earth crust. Like that, phosphorus is the 11th most abundant element in the earth crust. Okay. Now coming to arsenic, antimony, bismuth. All these three, all this arsenic, antimony, bismuth, they exist as their sulfur. sulfides, mainly as sulfides or sulfide combined. What are those? Arsenic as arsenous sulfide. Okay. Antimony Sb2S3. Okay. Antimony bismuth Bri2S3. Okay. They exist as even some telluride form also along with sulfide content. But mainly they exist as a sulfide, arsenous sulfide, antimony sulfide, okay, and this is bismuth sulfide. Okay, so like this we'll have regarding what first? Occurrence points. Okay, nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. Okay. Now after completing their occurrence, now we'll take into next part. Very important thing. First, their physical properties. In physical properties, we have to first what we have to write regarding general electronic configuration. Electronic configuration. Okay, electronic configuration. Just we have to go for writing electronic configuration. First, nitrogen group from your first day knowledge 1s2, 2s2, 2p. Phosphorus 1s2, 2s2, okay, 2p6, 3s2, 3p3. And arsenic 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, okay, 4s2, 4p. Sorry, 3d10, 4s2, 4p3. This is according to KLMN shell. The antimony when you come 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 3d10, 4s2, 4p6, 4d10, 5s2, 5p3. This is regarding antimony, right? See 10, 18, 28, 30, 36, 46, 46 plus 2, 48, 51. Like this one, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, first part. Then 3s2, 3p6, 3d10. Okay, according to KLMN cell. 4s2, 4p6, 4d10. Even here 4f14, right? Then 5s2, 5p6, 5d10, 6s2, 6p3. See, this is the electronic configuration. How I have written from your first day knowledge of what? KLMN shells, not off-board principle. Why? Because our main aim is to get what? General electronic configuration of elements. As I already told you, 13 group NS2NP1, 14 group NS2NP2, like this 15 group is what I told you? Already I told you NS2NP3. Just I will show you how it is. See, nitrogen is what? 2s2, 2p3. Phosphorus 3s2, 3p3. Right? Then arsenic 4s2, 4p3. Antimony 5s2, 5p3. Bismuth lastly 6s2, 6p3. Right? What these numbers indicate? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shell number. From your atomic structure knowledge, n small n indicates what? Shell number, cell to which electron enters, and also it is what? Period number to which electron enters. Second period, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. That's what I can write. Instead of that, I will take it as what? NS2, NP3. See. This is what? General electronic configuration of general electronic configuration of 15th group. They ask you. And for theory purpose, they will ask you any one electronic configuration very rarely. For that, it should be perfect in your atomic structure, KLMN especially for this chapter, not outbound principle. Okay? Right. You have to practice this. Right. Okay, after understanding electronic configuration of the elements, After electronic configuration of elements, now I will take you to next one. What are other physical properties like atomic radius, okay, then ionization enthalpy, then lastly electronegativity part of it. That I will cover. Okay, let us see. But I will not wind up this electronic configuration, because this electronic configuration will help you to understand further physical properties. What are those? The physical properties of the electronic configuration are: number one, atomic radius. Okay, atomic radius. What about the atomic radius? What about the atomic radius? Okay, students, after knowing the electronic configuration, it's the turn of atomic radius. In the first year, you already know what is atomic radius. It is the distance between the nucleus and the outermost orbit containing electron. That you already know. And these elements, nitrogen is non-metal, phosphorus is non-metal, arsenic and antimony both are metalloids, and bismuth is metal. Okay. Generally, non-metals, they are having covalent radius. Metalloids, they exhibit both metal and non-metallic characters, right? Then bismuth, especially metallic radius. But in general, atomic radius for this 15 group elements, for this ecogens, observe here, you cannot because this is very important. Down the group you are observing nitrogen 7, phosphorus 15, arsenic 33, antimony 51, bismuth 83. Okay. You should go down the group in the periodic table. That is in the vertical column. You know that as atomic number increases, atomic radius increases from nitrogen to phosphorus. But when you observe experimental value, increase in the atomic radius from nitrogen to phosphorus is regular, even up to arsenic. But from arsenic to antimony to bismuth, increase in atomic size is small. Why? Okay, I'll repeat. Atomic radius from nitrogen to arsenic increases regularly. But from arsenic to bismuth, increase in size is small. Why? That's a very important fact. It's mainly due to imperfect shielding of here 3D electrons. Okay? Imperfect, very important. Imperfect shielding of 3D electrons. Here. From arsenic antimony, difference is small, increase in size is less. Even from antimony to bismuth, imperfect shielding of what? 4D electrons here. And here imperfect shielding of very much importantly 4 electrons. So what is this shielding effect? You already know shielding effect is also called screening effect. Okay? And that means that the shielding effect or screening effect is nothing but it is protecting the outermost electron, outermost valence shell electron from the nuclear force of attraction of the inner electrons. Nuclear force of attraction of the inner electron from nuclear force of attraction. If the size increases, okay, shielding effect is perfect. If the size decreases, okay, the size decreases, shielding effect is imperfect. It is imperfectly shielded. Then you already know. You know that atomic size for D block elements. D block element you are going to study this year only. They are having smaller atomic size due to unpaired electron. The ionic size contracts, size decreases. That's why effective nuclear charge increases. Hence, size decreases. Okay, that's why it is called imperfect shielding of 3D electrons. Increasing size is small. Okay, normally effective nuclear charge increases. Here due to 4D, here due to 3D, here 4D, and here 4f electrons, which is very point to be noted. That is regarding what variation of atomic size or radius, students. Okay, right. Next, after understanding that means in general atomic radius increases from nitrogen to bismuth down the group, but increase from nitrogen to arsenic is regular. but from arsenic to bismuth it is small due to imperfect shielding of 3d, 4d and 4f electrons. Very simple. Okay. After understanding this atomic radius, let us students will go to next one, second one, ionization enthalpy or ionization energy. Generally written here enthalpy or energy or ionization potential that you already know. What is this? It is the energy required to remove the outermost electron from the isolated gaseous atom so that it converts into cation. That is called ionization energy. You know that smaller the size, higher the ionization energy, larger the size, lower the ionization energy. That means atomic size is expressed in atomic radius. So atomic size and ionization energy, they are inversely proportional. Right? So here down the group, ionization energy or ionization enthalpy decreases down the but is decreasing the ionization energy also not regular. Why? It depends on atomic size. That's why. Nitrogen to arsenic it is regular. From once again arsenic to bismuth it is irregular. Abnormally increases. Why? Due to effective nuclear charge. Remember. Okay. That's why here once again imperfect shielding 3D effective nuclear charge increases. Abnormally effective nuclear charge increases means size contracts, automatically ionization energy increases. Instead of decreasing it increases. Sb same due to imperfect shielding of 4D and bismuth same due to imperfect shielding of 4F effective nuclear charge increases, size decreases, ionization energy increases. Only from arsenic to bismuth. Okay, but in general down the group from nitrogen to bismuth generally when you go as atomic size increases, ionization energy decreases. Only exceptional from antimony to bismuth exclusively due to 4D and 4F imperfect shielding. Okay, remember. This is regarding ionization. So when you compare these 15 group elements with what 14 group elements? What are those? Carbon, silicon, germanium, tin and lead. Okay, there are 14 group elements. You know that in the periodic table across the period, effective nuclear charge increases, ionic radius decreases. That means even these 15 group elements they are having smaller ionic radius than 14 group elements. Why? Because of effective nuclear charge. Electrons are added to the same cell. Effective nuclear charge increases, electron cloud contracts. Okay, right. That's why ionization energy bond across the period increases. That means 15 group elements. Okay, 15 group elements. What they are having? They are having smaller. They are having a smaller ionic radii or radius. Okay. Then 14th group elements. Point B. And 15 group elements. They are having higher. Okay, smaller ionic radius, but higher ionization energy or ionization enthalpy. Enthalpy. Then 14th group elements. Okay, that is Ln minus. I repeat students, I repeat. As ionic radius is concerned, across the period decreases. The 15 group elements are having smaller radius, atomic radius, or we can tell ionic or covalent radius than 14 group elements. And if the ionic radius decreases, definitely they are having high ionization energy. Okay, but in general, ionization energy for 15 group element from nitrogen to bismuth decreases, but due to remember half-filled orbitals. Half-filled orbital. Nitrogen having 3 unpaired electrons, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. Okay. Due to half-filled orbital, they gain extra stability. According to what? Hund's rule. Due to what? Exchange energy. Right? Even though down the group it decreases, but they are having high ionization energy. Actually, we should have low. Due to this half-filled orbitals, they gain extra stability, and that's why abnormally ionization energy is high, or due to our half-filled orbitals. But down the group, normally definitely decreases as size increases. That's it. That's about electronic configuration, atomic radius, and ionization enthalpy. Right? Okay, because see, these are very interrelated to each other. That's why I not wiped up this electronic configuration. If you remember electronic configuration, general electronic configuration, that will give you each and every information, not only 15, even 16, 17 and 18 group also. That's why students, you should be perfect with writing electronic configuration, general orbital electronic configuration. Based on that, you can easily explain regarding radius, ionization enthalpy and other characters very easily. Now lastly, regarding electronegativity, I will tell and complete today. Okay. See, what is electronegativity? It is a tendency to attract the bonded pair of electron towards itself. Third property, what it is? Electronegativity. Electronegativity. What is electronegativity, students? It is a tendency to attract the bonded pair of electron towards itself. Electrons को अपनी तरफ खींचना, it is called cinching effect. Okay. Smaller the size, higher the electronegativity. Larger the size, lower the electronegativity. And you are observing for these 50 group elements, nitrogen, non-metal, smaller size, high electronegativity. Phosphorus size increases, electronegativity decreases. Arsenic, antimony, metalloids decreases. Even bismuth, predominantly metal, decreases. That means electronegativity decreases down the group. But across the period it decreases. That means when you explain regarding 16 group, there are electronegativity. That's it. Okay. But here down the group it decreases. Why? Because size increases. The most electronegative element is nitrogen, followed by phosphorus, then arsenic, antimony, and bismuth. Remember. Okay. So actually nitrogen is the third most electronegative element in the periodic table after fluorine and oxygen. Okay. After fluorine, oxygen and chlorine, even this nitrogen is especially. Okay. Right. Okay. Depending upon the Pauling electronegativity scale. After fluorine, second place goes to oxygen, then chlorine, bromine, iodine, afterwards this oxygen comes according to different scales. Okay. That's why each and every basic knowledge of your first year atomic structure, chemical bonding and periodicity will help you to understand this P-block element second year very easily. Okay. Right. That means today students I covered you occurrence, okay, general electronic configuration, then variation of atomic radius, ionization enthalpy and electronegativity. So today we'll stop here. So tomorrow's class just I will continue with the physical properties once again about their physical existence, solubility, melting point and boiling point, allotropy, okay, and another about some characters. Then we will go on discussing next chemical properties, that is oxidation state, then reactivity with the hydrogen, reactivity with the oxygen, reactivity with the halogens, then anomalous property of nitrogen, how it differ from rest of the elements. Okay, right. So today we'll stop here. Today it is more than enough. Okay, right. Once again, have a nice day, and just don't miss this chapter. Each and every step you can see the videos. Okay, and accordingly read it. It is everyone under the impression that the P-block element is very hard and it is very vast. No, nothing is hard. Just have to work. That's it. Okay. So once again, have a nice day.